Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Noble Hospital, a brand new name for a Westfield institution which is improving the health of our community every day with quality and compassion. Noble Hospital and Bay State Health, better together.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm joined this morning in our studio with producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
Chairman of the board over there behind the glass in his secluded booth back there, nice and safe, germ-free, virus-free.
Let me check my temperature.
There you go. There it is.
I fire that bad boy up.
There it is. How we doing there, Pete? You have
97.1. I'm low.
You're good. You're good. All right. We're safe. Everybody's good here. So welcome, folks. Pete, how are you doing through all of this?
It's been a little crazy.
Yeah.
I'm busier now than I was before.
And you're going to get busier yet.
Yes. Yes. Because now all the, you can't put off board and commission meetings for so long. And the new rules for the state require that if you have a board and commission meeting that's open to the public, that you have to broadcast it somewhere. So either Channel 15 or streaming or both, which we're going to do. But that means juggling my schedules and figure out how, if I have a show going on in the studio, how I also broadcast a meeting on like Channel 12 or something like that. You know, it gets complicated.
So I have a board meeting next Monday. I was going to do it as a conference call. So how does that work? I don't even understand this. This is beyond my
if you're using the conference bridge, I call it up as a web page, but I also dial into the conference, both, and then the phone line becomes the backup, and the online audio is the primary. But all your members will probably dial in,
right? So
you'll hear them on phone line quality, but you'll hear them.
Okay.
And then I'll put up a slate with a city logo on it saying Council on Aging meeting and the date.
Okay.
And then I record them just in case.
Okay. And so who?
And I think I've been posting them. I'm going to post.
Who's coordinating all that? Is it Karen Fanion that's coordinating?
City clerk is coordinating. City clerk's office.
Okay.
Working with the tech center in Lenore on the what bridge to use and things like that. Okay. And then they just tell me what bridge to dial into and when. But I need to have notice on that because I'm trying to program my schedules and things like that and put what channel where.
And I think I had included you on my email. It was you, Lenore, and Karen, because I honestly didn't know who I was supposed to. But we really need to have a board meeting.
Right, and we're
that my folks
and we're coordinating things like, public hearing.
Yeah,
we got to coordinate that. But then we got something from the law department saying that the state had passed a law saying that all public hearings can be postponed.
Okay.
So there's that coordination because you don't want to have, I know East Hampton did this and I don't think it's a great idea, but they had the public on the same Zoom call as the counselors.
Yeah.
And that can get messy.
I'm sure.
Especially if you get somebody disruptive and somebody's not quick on, killing them or whatever.
Yeah.
Out of the meeting, or you get bombed, get Zoom bombed. So we're trying to have the public, so I can tie two different conference calls together here.
Yep.
On my phone bridge.
Yep.
Two completely separate conference calls. They can interact with each other on the phone bridge, but they're separate in general of calling in and things like that. So we're trying to keep it a little bit separated.
Mm-hmm.
Public on one side and the counselors on the other,
Yep.
which is kind of how it is in City Hall. If
Yeah.
you go to a council meeting,
Absolutely.
there's kind of an unmarked line of delineation that you don't cross. So
Yep, exactly.
same
Well,
thing.
and you're trying to follow, Robert's Rules of Order, so it's not like anybody can speak at a city council meeting whenever they want to.
right. So like
they're
I
not
can
allowed
I
to.
can pot down the public part until the person calls for public participation.
Okay.
They can still listen.
Yes. Which is
know-
what they could do if they were sitting in City Hall. There's a
Correct.
time for you to speak during public participation, and the rest of the time you have to listen. If you want to be there, you just have to listen. You
Correct,
can't
and
just
that's the
jump
point.
up and
That's the point.
Okay, all right. So
Because
that sounds good.
I can turn up and down either line independently. So
Okay.
Kenny had a few guests yesterday. Did you catch any of his show?
I didn't catch any of his. I caught Bob's. It's really hard for me to catch Kenny's. I'm
okay.
at work by then, but I heard Bob and I heard
Barbara Trant was on with Bob.
yes, but before that it was Chuck Kelly
Chuck was on. Yep.
and Patrick Berry.
And Pat Berry.
And by the way, I said to Patrick Berry, I emailed him. Well, I was back and forth. He's on my friends board, and we're trying to do friends business. So I said to him, "Hey, I heard you on Bob's show. However," I said, "the deal is," because I went on Mass Appeal, I said, "and the deal is that you're going to be," I want him on my show for like an hour-long guest when all the dust settles and I can actually get him in the studio. So he said, yes, that's the deal.
You've been scooped on that one.
Yeah, well, I know.
Harry's getting him first.
Oh, Harry is? I thought it was Mark Auerbach.
Yeah. Maybe it is Mark Auerbach.
Yeah,
So I'm sorry, it's not
Patrick
Harry.
said it was Mark, and I said,
Harry-
that's fine,
what
because
does Harry have?
I don't want to do Patrick.
Oh, Harry has Stefan.
Yeah, I don't want to do Patrick I'm not going to do him for not until he can come in the studio, like over the summer. And I really want him to be on the job for a while, too, like 6 months or so. So
Yeah.
we'll do that, we'll do that later on. But
And he also, I think, Patrick wants to talk to JPEG Luca via Skype from the studio and talk about the music series.
yeah, absolutely. So I think that's great. Yes, oh my God.
All kinds
I
of
know.
interactions.
There are a
Well,
lot
'cause
of
we're still-
interactions, yeah.
We're still up and operational,
Yep.
and not many. I was saying this to the mayor yesterday because the mayor was on with Kenny for a little while via phone. So was Jim Wiggs, and I said we become the final. Besides the Westfield News, we're the only local media outlet.
That's
it.
correct. I agree.
NNZ is not here anymore. They're a translator for NPR. There's nobody else. HYN is kind of down to a skeleton staff, and they have been for a long time. And then the news media, the TV news media, only comes out here when it's something enormous.
Yeah, right.
They don't
exactly.
bother for the regular stuff because
Right.
they have enough.
Yeah.
They have enough in the Connecticut River corridor.
Yep, exactly.
So we're it.
Yeah.
We're all that's left.
We are it. And I put us in our newsletter so that people, in the April newsletter, and I kind of said to people, hey, tune in. If you want to know what's going on, tune in. So, after the show, you and I are going to talk because I was on, my days now are filled with conference calls. I just have to keep
Yes.
track of which conference calls and what time and so forth. But
Yes.
weekly, I do a conference call with MCOA, which is the Massachusetts Association for Councils on Aging, and they always have, the bulk of the call is someone from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, who, they give us updates and directives and things like that. And, one of the things that, and of course we toss around ideas, and one of the things that the, one of the directors, I think the director in Agawam was saying was, we use our local cable channel for some programming, and they have for a while now for their senior.
Yeah,
for
Les
some of their
Tingley was
seniors.
talking about that over there.
Yeah, and so I had already come up with that idea. I had already talked to Mary Lou about that and said when I get on the radio show on Wednesday, I'll see Pete, and I said I have some ideas that I want to float by you on some things that we can do, especially during the month of March, because we will be.
Hello, everyone.
Oops.
Yes. Whoops. Hello.
Hold on.
We are here today
That's
to share some
Kathy
stories
Palmer.
with you.
Oh, yeah.
And the first
She,
story I have to tell.
It just came up automatically.
Okay. Sorry. Anyway.
She's telling stories.
Yep.
Did you? I don't know.
I did not know that.
So she's
Yeah.
telling stories for school age right up through, and the first one was about Sarah Noble.
Okay. Very interesting.
And
Very
Kenny's been
interesting.
taping those with her at the women's club, so we're
Yeah.
going to start airing those. So that might
Yep.
be a piece of.
Yep, and so that's what we want to. We want to do some educational programming. We want to do some entertainment, and we want to do some exercise stuff. So we have some ideas. So we'll float those by you. In the meantime, let's talk. Today is April 8th, so let's talk a little bit about some of the famous birthdays today. We'll kind of sprinkle these throughout for the first hour.
Okay.
And then Dr. Gary Gorman will be joining me second hour from our Serenity Room at in West Springfield, where he'll be sipping on his coffee that he made in his Keurig with his Yeti cup, and he's just all excited about this. So, but we have a couple of topics that he's going to cover today, which some things that we didn't get to last week.
It's a twofer of Gary Gorman.
It is a it's a twofer of Gary Gorman. Well, he has, he owes me because he had several months where he wasn't here because I had other guests lined up. And, it was, as I told him, we had more important people here. Sorry. So, no, I'm just kidding, Gary. Just kidding. All right. April 8th, it is the birthday of singer-actress Peggy Lennon. She's 79 years old today. She was born April 8th, 1941 in Los Angeles, California. The Lennon Sisters are an American vocal group initially made up of 4 sisters from a family that had 6 sisters in all, as well as 5 brothers. 11 kids in this family, yes. So the original quartet of the Lennon Sisters consisted of Diane, Peggy, Kathy, and Janet. For 13 years, from 1955 to 1968, the group appeared regularly on The Lawrence Welk Show. As a younger sister, Peggy Lennon took an interest in music, religion, and acting. In 1964, she married Lawrence Welk trumpet player Dick Cathcart, who was 17 years older than her, and until his passing in 1993, they were the proud parents of 6 children. They did a lot of kids in this Lennon family, I've learned. Peggy Lennon retired from the Lennon Sisters Act in 1999, and then I think it was the youngest sister who took her place. She remarried, and she makes her home today in Northridge, California. So happy 79th birthday to Peggy Lennon from the Lennon Sisters. Yes. It is also the birthday of Mel Shacker, who is a bass player. He was born April 8th, 1951 in Owosso, Michigan. He became interested in music at the age of 7, playing with his father's banjo. By age 12, he had moved to playing the guitar and then the bass. At 14, Mel Shacker was part of a trio playing mostly wedding receptions and talent competitions while playing with other local bands. At 16, Shacker caught his first professional break when he was invited to replace bassist Frank Lugo. Do you remember the group Pete ? And the Mysterians?
No.
You don't?
No.
96 Tears? You'll recognize, you'll recognize
Tears,
it.
okay,
That was like a one-hit wonder, I think, for them. So he played with them, and then in 1966, he supported their hit 96 Tears, and he went on to tour with that band at the age of 16. So that was pretty good.
Wow.
During this stint, he was approached to join drummer Don Brewer and singer-guitarist Mark Farner to form a new power trio. Shacker joined the new lineup, and almost from the moment they played the 1969 Atlanta International Pop Festival, that was down in Atlanta, Georgia, inspiring a rousing reception and fast-spreading word of mouth, they achieved international fame as Grand Funk Railroad. So Mel Shacker actually played for 2 groups, that ? And the Mysterians, that was back in the 60s, and then Grand Funk Railroad. So we're going to hear a tune from each of them. So happy birthday to Mel Shacker. Okay, so you know what? Let's take our first break. It is 6:14. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. WCPC channel 15 on your cable channel. The first tune up is the Lennon Sisters. We're going to listen to Peggy Lennon with her sisters singing Sentimental Journey, which was a song that was really popular on the Lawrence Welk Show when they used to play back in the day.
And the 1 and the 2 and
there you go, with the bubbles blowing. Remember, Pete, the bubbles?
The bubbles, yeah.
There it is.
Tiny bubbles.
Tiny bubbles.
Okay, there we go.
Gonna take a sentimental journey, gonna set my heart at ease, gonna make a sentimental journey to renew old memories. Got my bag, I got my reservation, spent each dime I could afford, like a child in wild anticipation, long to hear that all aboard. the time we leave at 7, I'll be waiting up for heaven, counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. Never thought my heart could be so yearning. Why did I decide to roam? Gotta take this sentimental journey, sentimental journey home, sentimental journey home, sentimental journey home.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:18. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and Pete Coles is in the studio with me behind his glass board over there. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So, Pete, you know what? A huge shout out to you and a thank you for putting together that video from the city employees, thanking our frontline workers over there. I thought to myself, I'm not sure how he's going to do that. I was, and for those of you who don't know, Pete, where can people, it's on Facebook, right?
No, it's on the YouTube channel, actually. It's on the Channel 15 YouTube channel. So you go to YouTube and look up Westfield Community Programming, and you'll find the Channel 15 page. You can find a lot of things there, like not only that video, but the latest update from the mayor, previous updates from the mayor, and we've also uploaded the interviews that various hosts have done with city officials relating to the event, and then older stuff that we just archive up there.
And so tell people again, how can they do this? They go
where? Go to youtube.com, and in the search field for YouTube, look up Westfield Community Programming. Okay. And you'll see the Channel 15 logo, and you just click on that, and it's a whole channel of our stuff.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who don't know, so and I'm not sure whose idea that was. I think that was the Community Development Department, Leanne Cloutier and Pete Miller and Chris, and they wanted to do a thank you from the city employees to those who are kind of what we consider to be on the front lines, and so Leanne had sent out an email to the city employees saying, if you'd like to do a video, send pictures, Pete Coles will put everything together. And so, the funny thing was we didn't have a lot of time to do it, and my staff is kind of all over the place. Some are working from home, some are off right now, some are helping with meals and so forth. Mm-hmm. So I just went through the archives of photos that we had taken over the last year or so, because I really wanted all the staff represented. I didn't want it to just be me. So I had to find pictures, and I didn't want a ton of pictures, so I'm trying to find as many staff members in pictures as I could. Yeah. And I think I ended up sending 6 or 7 pictures, and I thought, oh man, this is probably way too many. But sent that along to Leanne and Pete and said, hope you can do something with this. But you know what? It just turned out great, Pete. The music was perfect. That was the theme from Hill Street Blues, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It was just perfect.
You want to play it?
So, yes. Let's play it. For those who haven't seen it, I think that would be great. What a great idea.
From Veteran Services in the city of Westfield, we would like to thank all of our first responders and our city workers, people who are out there on the front lines risking their lives during this coronavirus to keep us all safe. And thanks to you at home for staying home to keep them safe. Thanks.
From the Riga family. Thank you.
On behalf of the Cloutier family and together with my fellow employees at City Hall, we'd like to say a big thank you to all the essential workers out there who are putting their life on the line to give us what we need and keep us safe. We deeply thank you.
Like to thank the essential employees of the City of Westfield for their hard work, dedication, and devotion to the residents of our city. Stay well. Thank you.
Hi everybody, it's Mayor Don Humison, and on behalf of the City of Westfield, I just want to say to all of you who are doing so much during this difficult time, thank you. We appreciate it. Me and my family personally appreciate it. Thank you for working so hard to keep us safe, to keep us healthy, to keep us well during this time of COVID-19. We'll get through it, but we'll do it more with your help. So thank you.
Thank you, Pete. That was just, it just came out great. I think that was, said it all.
Yeah.
So thank you. Today is National All Is Ours Day. So I thought this was really apropos for everything that's going on around us. So let me explain to you what that is, because I was curious. You know, I have the National Day calendar that my family gets me every year for Christmas now, just for the purposes of this radio show. So, you know, on each day there's a list of, you know, what it is. So today is National All Is Ours Day. So I thought, okay, what is that about? So observed each year on April 8th, National All Is Ours Day takes us along 3 views of appreciation. So I thought this was so perfect for what we just saw. Either celebrate both approaches to the day or pick the one that best suits you. So the first approach to the day can be looked at as a time to reflect on all of the beauty of nature and all of the wonderful things in life. Rarely do we have the time to explore all that nature offers us. Something as simple as the variety of birds that inhabit a local park or backyard can surprise us. Whether we look up at the skies or closer at the new spring blooms, taking in our surroundings is a spectacular gift to enjoy. The second way to celebrate the day is by appreciating everything that we have. Even when we don't have much, what we do have is a blessing. This approach encourages counting those blessings and avoiding thinking about the things that we do not have. A third way to view the day is by sharing all that we have. Regardless of what we have, sharing it seems to make tough times easier when we all work together. The greatest times and the greatest things in life are those that are shared. So what an interesting, concept as we all try to navigate our way through this. I feel like sometimes we're mucking our way through it all together. We joke
That's
around.
true.
Yeah, right? And what I'm hearing from a lot of people we're always looking in our household for the silver lining. So we talk about that, and during the day, something will happen and it's like, okay, that's the silver lining. And I'm hearing that more and more from people, Pete, where they're saying, well, we're spending more time as a family. We're spending more time. There are a lot of
That had
people
pretty much
walking.
gone away in our society.
It really had. I mean, that whole concept of like sitting down for dinner together and having a discussion.
Right.
It did. I mean,
Well,
people
the thing is, people would sit at the dinner table and be talking with their friends on their phone.
on their cell phones. Exactly.
They can still do that, but people are finding time.
Right.
Since they're together all day long and they're not running to sports or jobs or whatever.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. Without sports, it's interesting because I'm seeing more families walking together, more families bike riding together. You don't have to make the time because right now that's what we have. We sort of have the time, and I think people are being more creative. I think people are generally being more thoughtful.
I think a lot of people remember back to their childhoods how different it was and trying to remember get some of that back.
Yeah. I mean, board games are coming out again. And, just a lot of different creative ways to cut. But I think the whole idea of sort of getting out there with nature, I know that some of the seniors, especially those that are in nursing homes or assisted living, even the assisted living, like they're not supposed to come out of their apartments. So it's, you're confined to kind of like a 1 or 2 room apartment. And I think one of the things that, one of my staff members, Sandra Fisher, has been doing, we're calling them friendly visit phone calls and just checking on. I mean, we have my outreach worker, Joanne Ortegas, and Joyce Peregrine, our companion program coordinator. They're checking up on our clients that we consider to be most at risk. They're homebound, and even in the best of times, they've got a lot of health issues. So they're checking up on them. Sandra's really checking up on the folks that just normally come to the senior center, whether it's for meals or exercise or a class or something like that. And just, kind of checking in, how are things, how are people doing? And,
Sure.
And it was funny, she was on the phone yesterday with one of our clients who lives over at the Arbors and used to come to the senior center and still does on a regular basis. And she was saying to Sandra, she said, I'm starting to go stir crazy because, I'm in this 2-room apartment. And Sandra said, okay, I want you to take your chair over to your window because it's a nice day. And I want you to open up the window, and look outside. And are there any birds out there and so forth? Well, she also knew because she had been on a phone call to someone earlier that they were actually going to go and visit, quote, visit through the window. So they were going to be on the, on the outside of the property kind of waving and there's a lot of that going on. You see a lot of people, kind of visiting through a window.
Heck, I drove down to Granby, Connecticut to a park to visit my girlfriend just so we could take a walk around the park.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went for a mile walk and then we sat in our cars and talked to each other for a while.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, it's
not easy right now.
Nope, but there are ways to do it and people are being, super creative. So we're going to talk more about that. How can you sort of pass the time and be creative? But I love this idea that, National All Is Ours Day of being appreciative for, for nature and for each other and for what we have, because we do really get caught up with what we need or what we think we need and what we want. And, that whole concept of more. So we'll need to kind of keep that in check. All right, it is 6:30. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. This next song is going out to Mel Shacker. It's in honor of the birthday of Mel Shacker, who was a member of Grand Funk Railroad, which I never did really get where that name came from because it's kind of funky, And the song
It's a takeoff on the Grand Trunk Railroad.
No, what was the Grand Trunk Railroad?
It was a railroad in the Midwest. It's still actually active to this day.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay. See, Pete, where are you coming out with this trivia? I mean,
I'm a rail guy.
That and you
if
love.
You see a car go by with a GT on it, that's Grand Trunk.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. This one is Some Kind of Wonderful. Let's listen.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donuts Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:36. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, the man behind the glass, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So today, April 8th, we have some other famous birthdays that we need to discuss. So It is also the birthday. This is so appropriate for the director of the Council on Aging to be talking about this one. It is the birthday of the late Juan Ponce de Leon, conquistador and explorer, born April 8th, 1460 in Spain. He died in 1521. Now, I always was taught when I was in grade school that Ponce de Leon was searching for the Fountain of Youth and kind of accidentally discovered Florida. Well, that's not exactly what happened because, of course, we always like to put this little spin on history. So let's learn a little bit more about the real Ponce de Leon. So in the first decade of 1500, Ponce de Leon built settlements in Hispaniola, which is the modern-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. He started farms and constructed defenses in hopes of establishing an island colony for Spain. So he was actually sent by the Spanish crown on these explorations. But hearing persistent reports of gold on nearby Puerto Rico, in 1508, the Spanish crown officially sent Ponce de Leon to explore that island. He took 50 soldiers and a single ship, settling near what is now San Juan. The expedition was deemed a success, and Ponce de Leon was named governor of Puerto Rico. In 1512, the Spanish crown encouraged him to continue searching for new lands in hopes of finding yet more gold, as well as expanding the Spanish Empire. Though the pursuit of a Fountain of Youth is often cited as the motivating force behind his expedition, it was actually gold that the explorer was seeking. He was much more practical. Ponce de Leon and his men landed on the east coast of Florida. Not realizing he was on the mainland in North America, he thought that he had landed on another island. He named the region Florida, meaning flowery, in reference to its lush floral vegetation, and because he discovered it at Easter time. So how appropriate is that?
Okay.
What are we, 5 days before Easter, 4 days before Easter, which Spaniards referred to as the Feast of Flowers. That's what they called Easter. Ponce de Leon will forever be associated with the Fountain of Youth, even though there is no record that he deliberately searched for it. Though he acknowledges the existence of the fable in his memoir, he was by all accounts far too practical a man to waste time on such a fantasy amidst the building of his fortune. So happy birthday to Juan Ponce de Leon. It is also the birthday, April 8th, of the late Betty Ford. First Lady. She was born in Chicago, Illinois. She died July 8th, 2011 at the age of 93. And Betty Ford was really an interesting woman. I had no idea. I knew about the Betty Ford Institute, but I didn't really know how all that happened. And I really didn't know her background. She was born Elizabeth Ann Bloomer. During her younger years, Betty was passionate about dancing, and she spent 2 summers at the Bennington School of Dance in Vermont, studying under legendary choreographer and dancer Martha Graham. And she actually even danced at Carnegie Hall. She had quite a dance career until she kind of figured out, I think in her 20s, that she was very good, but she wasn't going to be able to make a career out of dance. So she ended up marrying a furniture salesman because her father was in the furniture business.
Okay.
That marriage did not last. And in August of 1947, Betty met Gerald Ford, who at the time was a U.S. Navy lieutenant. He was an attorney, and Gerald had returned from duty to resume his law practice and to run for U.S. Congress. The couple dated for a year, and they married 2 weeks before the November election. And the reason that Gerald Ford wanted to marry before the election was because he was afraid that after the election, he wasn't sure how people would respond to a president marrying a divorcee. And she had been married before and was divorced, and he was, not sure about that. So he wanted to make sure they were already married before, if he was elected, before he was elected. On December 6, 1973, Gerald was appointed vice president under Richard Nixon after Vice President Spiro Agnew resigned. Then on August, so that was a stretch. So he didn't run as Nixon's running mate. He took over for Agnew when Agnew resigned.
Right.
Then on August 9th, 1974, so that was less than a year later.
They call him the accidental president.
Yeah. In an unprecedented move, Nixon resigned from office under pressure from the Watergate scandal. And under United States law, Gerald Ford became the 38th president of the United States, and Betty, his wife, became officially the first lady. So I had not heard that expression, Pete, the accidental president.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of sense. That's exactly what happened.
I think he was the only unelected president, too.
Yeah. So Betty became known because now go back. Remember, she was a dancer. She became known for dancing to disco music at the informal White House events. She chatted on her CB radio under the call name First Mama. I'm like, she has a great sense of humor. But Betty could also be very serious on subjects such as equal rights for women, abortion, and divorce. At times, her outspokenness raised disapproval from the more conservative elements of the Republican Party. Weeks after Betty became the First Lady, she was diagnosed with malignant breast cancer during a routine examination. She underwent a mastectomy, and her openness about her illness raised visibility for a disease that Americans had previously been reluctant to discuss. She supported the Equal Rights Amendment and lobbied hard for its passage. She also became a strong advocate for a women's right to free choice in many decisions that affected their lives. As a result of her efforts, Time magazine named her Woman of the Year in 1975. In 1978, the Ford family intervened and forced Betty into treatment for a 25-year problem that she had had with pain medications and alcohol. And my understanding was that while she was First Lady, that was pretty much under control, but I think it reared its ugly head again after her husband left office. In keeping with her sense of authenticity, Betty Ford fully disclosed her addictions and resulting treatment to the public shortly after her release from the hospital. In 1982, after her full recovery, Betty helped establish the Betty Ford Center, dedicated to helping all people, but especially women, with chemical dependency. So happy birthday to the late Betty Ford, who just... Now I wish I had met her in real life, or I knew more about her when she was alive. She really sounded like a cool lady. It is also the birthday of Seymour Cy Hersh, investigative reporter. He was born April 8th, 1937, also born in Chicago, Illinois, same as Betty Ford. He's 83 years old today. Seymour Hersh is an American investigative journalist and political writer. He's a longtime contributor to the New Yorker magazine on national security matters and has also written for the London Review of Books since 2013. Hersh first gained recognition in 1969 for exposing the My Lai massacre and its cover-up during the Vietnam War, for which he received the 1970 Pulitzer Prize for International Reporting. During the 1970s, Hersh covered the Watergate scandal for the New York Times and revealed the clandestine bombing of Cambodia. In 2004, he reported on the U.S. military's mistreatment of detainees at Abu Ghraib prison. He has also won 2 National Magazine Awards and 5 George Polk Awards. So happy 83rd birthday to Cy Hersh. I always feel like, the more I read about people who do, investigative reporting, it's a dangerous game. I mean,
it can be, yes.
Not always, but yeah, it can be. I mean, you're, especially on the international level.
Right.
So happy birthday to him. And finally, it is the birthday of the late John Havlicek, professional basketball player. He was born April 8th, 1940 in Martins Ferry, Ohio. He died he just passed away just about a year ago at the age of 79. John Havlicek was an American professional basketball player who competed for 16 seasons with the Boston Celtics, winning 8 NBA championships, 4 of them coming in his first 4 seasons with the team. In the National Basketball Association, he is one of 4 players to have won 8 championships in their playing careers. Havlicek is also one of 3 NBA players with an unsurpassed 8-0 record in NBA Final Series outcomes. Havlicek is widely considered to have been one of the greatest players in the history of basketball and was inducted as a member of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame right here in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1984.
Part of one of the best calls of all time. Let's see.
Let's listen.
5 seconds left. Boston only has a 1-point lead.
Greer's putting the ball on a play. He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it. Over the stand throws. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. It's all over. Johnny Havlicek is being mobbed by the fans. Bill Russell wants to grab Havlicek. He hugs him. He squeezes John Havlicek. The Celtics win it. 110 for 109.
One of the best calls of all time.
Pete, you
Havlicek stole the ball.
You absolutely never cease to amaze me.
That was a quickie. I had to go find that one.
Never cease to amaze me. You are the best. All right, it is 6:46. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. I chose this song because I really wanted to find what I consider to be an appropriate thank you song for all of those who are out there doing their jobs and helping us during this really, really difficult time. And there are so many people in so many different professions. I mean, obviously we think of our medical personnel and our first responders and fire and police, but there are a lot of other people, you know, work truck drivers and working in grocery stores and our emergency management people and all those people that are getting lunches for people and all those volunteers that are doing things behind the scenes, making masks and, just doing odds and ends that we all need to have done. So thank you to all of you. This song is Gratitude. It's by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wanna thank you, yeah. Wanna thank you. Wanna thank you, yeah. Wanna thank you. Just wanna give gratitude, yeah. We got plenty of love we wanna give to you, yeah. Through good music we're trying to say, yeah, yeah. Hey, that's a good Lord gonna make a way, gonna make a way, gonna make a way, gonna make a way. Gonna make a way, gonna make a way, gonna make a way, gonna make a way.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardie siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value. Underwriting for WSKB's community radio programming is brought to you in part by R. Levesque Associates. They are offering landscape architecture, civil engineering, environmental permitting, and land surveying. RLA is a second-generation company devoted to excellence in the planning and design of outdoor spaces. On the web at rlaland.com or at 40 School Street in Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:52. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and Pete Coles is with me here in the studio behind the glass. You know what, Pete? I just realized it's such a, now you've got such a music studio here that the windows are all covered. I'm trying to figure out, like, is it getting lighter out or what? So we've
it's
got
pretty gray.
We've got
out there.
draping here, but yeah, it's kind of a gray, sort of a rainy day. You know, now my life revolves around the weather, because now that we're outside every day doing curbside meal pickup at the senior center, and it's mostly the hour to hour. Like, I don't really. Whoops. I don't really care what it's doing later on in the day or first thing in the morning, but I care what it's doing between 11 and 12.
There you go. There's the outside.
Okay, there we are. Yeah, it's not very good, but
I have a camera shot for that.
I'm just hoping that it's just not raining too hard, you know, when we do curbside pickup. And I'm sure they're hoping the same thing over at the schools and the other locations where we're doing meals. And speaking of that, let's talk about where folks can get meals. For the seniors, we have... there are a couple of different places. We're doing meals at the senior center. It's our regular menu, so that's in our newsletter. So as people are picking up their meals, if they don't have a copy of the April newsletter, we're making sure that they get one. You have to call us between 8:30 in the morning and 10 o'clock and let us know how many meals you want to pick up, and we need the names of who's going to get those meals. The meals are $3 each, and you can pick them up between 11 and 12. You come in the far entrance, the Murphy Circle entrance to the senior center, and then we have people guiding you along the way on the pickup process. We keep refining this as our numbers keep expanding, so we're up over 100 meals a day now, so we have more than doubled from when we started about 3 weeks ago. But you know what? We offer a lot of comfort food, so I think that's one of the attractions. But Pete, it is absolutely hysterical. We need to get this on video. So at 8:30, we have Karen Noblet, Mary Nunajalski, and myself taking phone calls. It's like a telethon. The phone, we take the phone, we switch the night from night on to night off at 8:30, and literally, like within 5 seconds, the phone starts ringing, and we've got all phones ringing, and I feel like we're taking pledges, you know? And then we have one person Karen is the central person who's, kind of keeping the major list, and Mary Lou and I have to take phone calls, and then about every 10 minutes or so, we'll run down with her, because we have to keep track of the numbers, because we do have a cap, but which is, like yesterday, the cap was like 110. I think we did 106 meals. So we're trying to be really good about, keeping our number where it's, where the demand is, so that the supply and the demand, balance out. But anyway, so that's every day, Monday through Friday at the senior center. Now, at the same time, you can also get, for those who used to go to the middle school for lunch, there are also senior lunches that are available at the same time in the same location as the student lunches. So those would be offered at Westfield Middle School. It changed from Abner Gibbs. The last several weeks it was Abner Gibbs. They've moved that. They've closed the Abner. Yes, they did. They closed the Abner Gibbs site. So So now it's Westfield Middle School, Franklin Elementary School, also Colonial Pine Acres and Powder Mill Village. So for the two schools, it's between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Monday through Friday. And for Colonial Pines and Powder Mill Village, it's 11:30 to 12:30 Monday through Friday. That one's a smaller window. So the students can pick up lunches there, as well as the seniors can pick up a lunch there. And then the Westfield Soup Kitchen is open Sunday through Friday, 5 to 5:45. It's one meal per person. There's no charge for the meal. That's on the corner of 101 Meadow Street and White Street. And then the Soup Kitchen is also sponsoring at the Church of the Atonement. So I know this gets a little confusing. On Saturday evening, they have a grab-and-go meal from 5 to 6 p.m. Again, it's one meal per person, no charge, and that's at the Church of the Atonement. And when you get, it's a grab-and-go meal. It's usually a sandwich. And by the way, the lunch program at the schools also there's no charge for that. So the only charge is for the senior center meals, and that is actually a dinner. That's not a sandwich. That's a kind of soup to nuts dinner sort of thing with dessert and a vegetable or a salad or soup and your main meal. So all good things. So we have lots of options for you. And also for those of you who need any other services at the Senior Center, I do have staff there every day. Our number's 562-6435. We are the only game in, I think, the lower Pioneer Valley. I think we're the only one in town who's still doing medical equipment loans. We've had a real need for that because nobody else is doing it. And people are still, going home from the hospital with things unrelated to coronavirus. And unfortunately, some people who used to be going to rehab, the hospitals are sending them directly home because they need those beds for, other patients.
They don't have the room for it.
Right. So consequently, with them going home sooner, even more of a need for things like, shower benches and wheelchairs and portable commodes and things like that. So my inventory's low, but I want to shout out to Mary Beth she's the director up in Amherst. And she has some equipment. So now we're just trying to arrange to get that equipment down here that she's going to give us. She's got 8 wheelchairs for me, Pete. I'm like in heaven. That's
Wow.
great. Yep. And I think 6 shower benches and a shower chair and some of the other stuff that we need. So we at the Senior Center keep saying stay physically distant but socially connected. So, there are lots of ways to do that. We have discovered there are a lot of telephone chains, very informal telephone chains going on among the seniors who go to the Senior Center. And as Sandra is making phone calls and her friendly visit phone calls, she's really finding out that a lot of people are keeping in touch with, whether it's in senior housing and they're calling other people in the housing complex. I think, the pool players at the Senior Center have their own thing going on. They're all checking in on each other, calling each other. The Do-Re-Mi singers are checking in and calling each other. So we like to hear that because we know that you're keeping tabs on each other. But please know that while you're doing that, if someone has a need or you're concerned about someone, don't be afraid to give us a call. Call your relatives, call a neighbor, call a friend that you haven't talked to in a while.
There you go.
Wave to wave to the city employees who collect your trash. I mean, when we're out there doing the meals and we're directing traffic and so forth, we get people honking at us and waving and giving us the thumbs up and just feel very connected, so don't be afraid to do that. Write a letter to somebody,
Yeah.
I mean, the post office is still up and running and people love to get mail. Grace sent a card to, my daughter Grace sent a card to a friend of hers that she went to. They actually played each other in basketball. She went to, I think Alyssa went to Ware or Munson, I can't remember which one. But anyway, they played each other in CYO and high school basketball. And Alyssa's a nurse down in Chattanooga. She's an ICU nurse, I think, in Chattanooga. So, Grace connected with her. They share a birthday, which, by the way, Grace's birthday is coming up 2 days from today. She'll be 29 on Friday. So an early happy birthday to Grace and Alyssa. Alyssa will be 28. And Grace sent her a card, hey, just thinking about you and thanks for what you're doing. And I'm sure things are really rough right now. Anybody who's working in a hospital, things are kind of rough.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of sidewalk chalk messages as I'm walking and out doing my runs. And we saw that from the Lurgio family on our thank you video that Pete did.
Mm-hmm.
send a thank you to Westfield's dispatch workers or the EMTs, the firefighters, the police, or a Bay State Noble Hospital employee. We've gotten a couple of just thank you cards from some of the seniors, and I tape them up on our on our staff refrigerator so everybody can see it, and that it really means a lot to us. So please don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah.
Cut out some thank you paper hearts, and put them on your front door. Grace, that was one of Grace's projects the other day. I came home. I brought some, cardstock for some colored cardstock. She had hearts framing the whole front door, and then up above where she set up a little art studio for herself, a little craft table up in our study, and so right above that is a window. So she wanted to decorate the window with hearts, and it looks really, really nice from the outside. So
That's cool.
Lots of things that you can do. We'll keep passing along great ideas that people are coming up with. Feel free to share ideas and steal ideas because, as we keep saying, we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
It is 7:01. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We're going to do our top of the hour Aretha Franklin Respect song.
WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
Saturdays were made for polka. Tune in to the Polka Jammer Network starting at 6 a.m. and Polka Hall of Famer Billy Bellina, Breakfast at BB at 8:30.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:05. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and Pete Coles is here with me this morning in the studio. We have this nice sunshine coming up behind me in the studio.
Yes.
It's kind of, like our Hollywood front sunshine because it's really kind of a gray day today. It's sort of going to be rainy today.
Yeah, it's going to be rainy.
I'm not sure. I think
we need the rain, though.
We do. We definitely need the rain. We have to remember we've got virtually no snow this winter. And
we had high fire danger the past couple of days.
Yes. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Pete, because I got an email yesterday from Cindy Willett at the State Fire Marshal's office because I'm on her email chain because of the Retire the Fire program. And that was one of the warnings. They were saying to people, please be really careful.
Yep.
Because, one of the things that I'm finding that families are out there doing, and I get it, you're limited in what you can do in sort of the confines of your own yard and home, is they're doing the fire pit thing. So, but just be very careful.
But they're burning brush,
yes.
Cleaning up their
exactly.
yards.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
This is the time of year for that.
It is. And, with time on your hands,
Today would be a good day to do that.
Yes.
If you can get it going,
yep.
It's a great day to burn brush because it's very wet.
Yes. And we don't have to worry about any
Be
tragedies
very smoky,
going on.
But Be very smoky, but it'd be very wet.
Yep. Well, it's so funny because, Gary and I were commenting on the fact that people are going to have, when all this is over, we're going to have incredibly clean houses. My seniors have, and so have we. We've been cleaning closets and drawers and cabinets and all that stuff. And
I wish, because I'm never home.
You're never home. Well, yeah, but you know what? You have an entirely different role, and you are super needed right now. And then people are going to have amazing yards because they're all out there raking and cleaning up, and
and you have free labor if you have kids.
Well, that's exactly it. And the kids are actually willing to do it because it's like, what else are they doing? They're bored, and it's like, well, I really don't want to be cooped up inside, especially if it's a nice day.
I know they've started, the school department started their Chromebook distribution. They had requests for over 1,300 Chromebooks.
I know.
Springfield was like 10,000?
Oh, my goodness.
I think they said it was 10,000.
Yeah.
Laptops and Chromebooks and things like that.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, the whole...
I hope they all come back.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and I know somebody had I can't remember who had asked on our one of our conference calls
they
this
sign
week.
them out.
It's like it's like, are we keeping track of all this? Which we are. But you know, you hope that they'll all come back. But I'll tell you, this whole I am glad I am not. There are a lot of people that I'm glad I'm not right now. Like I'm glad I'm not Jim Wiggs, who's director of emergency management. I'm glad I'm not Stefan Zaporowski.
He's technically retired.
I know. But you know, Jim is amazing. Jim's a military guy, right?
Air Force.
I think he was, and you know, you can tell he is just that is the kind of person you want running the show in a crisis, because he does not lose his cool. There's always a plan. The plan is fluid. You know, the plan changes as necessary. But I just have so much confidence in him. But Stefan Zaporowski, it's another person I wouldn't want to be right now. I mean, it's hard enough for me trying to figure out, you know, seniors and all that stuff, but kids in school and learning from home.
Well, and things are changing from DESE, which is the Department of Education, elementary and secondary education. They're changing daily too.
Yes, which
because they don't even know if they're coming back.
That's
correct.
correct.
They're going to try to come back, but
but they don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, they don't know. And you know what?
So they've had to do what the colleges did. They've had to punt and go to online learning.
Yeah. And I think, Pete, it's the same with all the state agencies, because I answer to the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, and same thing. You know, we're getting lots of, well, we're not sure. We thought we were going in this direction. You know, how long are the senior centers going to be closed? Now it looks like it'll be through May at least, but we don't know about June. You know, so I mean, there are all kinds of things going on. So, you know, as people do need to understand, I think at the local level, that we are also getting directives from the state level. So it's not just us, you know, deciding things completely on our own.
They have a big say because they're a big part of the funding source.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's where we're getting our money from. So, all right. Speaking of the Senior Center, I do have one very important announcement, because this is a change from the way we normally do things. We've gotten a lot of calls over the last 2 days about our brown bag program, which normally the brown bag program is the second Tuesday of the month, which would have put it at next Tuesday. However, because I have a skeleton crew on staff, and because all of those people are helping with our lunch program, and because we're not miracle workers and we can't do everything at one time, what we're going to do is we're going to hold the brown bag distribution piece of it on Wednesday. So it'll be a week from today, between 9 and 10:30 a.m. That will give us, the food will actually come to the Senior Center Tuesday, but that'll give us both before and after lunch on Tuesday to try to get all the bags assembled, because we don't have our regular team of volunteers. The Senior Center is closed to the public, so we're not having any volunteers in there. So we'll be doing all that Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning between 9 and 10:30, you're going to do it as a drive-through. You're going to enter the far side of the parking lot, just like you do for lunch. The Murphy Circle. I will have lots of staff, and I'll have my family and Karen Noblitz's family. We're going to have all kinds of people directing traffic to help you through this process, because we do over 200 bags. So we got to do a lot of bags in an hour and a half, because we have to get that whole thing done so that we can then set up for lunch and do the lunch distribution. So it's going to be a lot of work on our part.
God bless.
Yeah, it's going to be. And here's the thing. This is my plea for all of you out there. Everybody needs to pray for good weather, because we really don't want to be doing all of this in the rain or in the cold or in the wind. So
see if somebody wanted to donate a tent.
Well, we have a tent, Pete, but and we have a tent, Alex Hibber, and we used our tent for our lunch program for the first 3 weeks. We had a couple problems. One is if it's windy, the tent goes flying. But also, we've moved the location of where we were doing our meals now, so we're actually utilizing the front porch a little bit more. But with the brown bag, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So we may use the tent just to keep the bags kind of, safe. But this is actually, people are going to actually have to pull up and get out of their car, take their brown bag, put it in their own car, and then drive away. Now, normally they have to drive up, in the parking lot, walk into the building, and take their brown bag out. So it's not like, they don't have to do this. This will actually be much shorter. Yep. But it won't be like our lunch distribution, where we put it on a cart, we reverse the cart, and you pull your lunch off the cart. We can't do that. You can't do that from a sitting position with a heavy bag of groceries. So you're actually going to have to get out of the car. So it's going to take a little bit longer to get the line through. So we're going to be snaking through and utilizing the whole parking lot. So, but all the seniors need to know is it is brown bag pickup, the actual distribution, is a week from today, Wednesday, April 15th, from 9 to 10:30 a.m. Okay? So that's that. And let's see, what else do we have? I got a couple of other things. Please beware of coronavirus scams. Just anybody who says that, oh, I have a coronavirus test for you, unless it's your own medical practitioner, it's a scam. Okay, so don't fall for any of that stuff. And anybody who's looking for charitable donations, unless it's a legitimate organization that you're familiar with, somebody you know.
Reach out. What you should do is reach out to organizations you know.
Exactly. Reach out to them, because if they're contacting you, it's probably not legitimate. They may be using some,
be proactive about it.
Exactly. You got it. The other thing that we have to start paying attention to is the census. For those of you who have not done the census, that's really important. And let me tell you how important that census is for those of you. It really doesn't matter the age. For me,
if you can't do it online, because it took me all of 5 minutes.
It is very simple to do it online. But for those of you, especially if I have seniors who either don't own a computer or are not computer savvy, I'm going to put this in my May newsletter. So we're going to really focus on this during the month of May. You'll be able to call the senior center. If you have your postcard that they sent you with your ID number, if you can do that, you can be on the phone with us. We'll be on the website and we'll plug it into the computer for you. As long as we have your ID, it makes it really, really easy. And as Pete said, it'll take us about 5 minutes to do it. So we're going to do a big push for that starting in May. But in the meantime, just what do we have going on back there, Pete?
That's the phone line. I potted it up in case you wanted to join in.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'll turn it down.
All right. No, that's okay. I wasn't sure what the background was. But anyway, so we'll talk more about that. But as long as you're being aware of coronavirus scams, you're also going to have to be aware of census scams, and just make sure that it's all legitimate. If you're not sure of something, call the senior center. If you get a phone call or if somebody comes to your door saying that they're from the census, if they do that, just remember this: they will not ask for your Social Security card. They will not ask for your bank account or your credit card numbers. They won't ask for any money donations, and they won't ask to enter into your home. If anybody knocks on your door and says, "Oh, I'm from the Census Bureau," and they do any of those things, slam the door and lock it, because they're not legitimate.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It is 7:15. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we have Dr. Gary Gorman, our resident WSKB chiropractor, joining us via the telephone from our Serenity room in the house. And one of the topics that we're going to talk about today is stress awareness, because April is actually Stress Awareness Month. I couldn't think of a better topic. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some exercises that you can do at home, and just being a little bit, I wouldn't even say exercises. I would just say being a little bit more conscious of being active while you're home and you're kind of, sheltering in place. So those are sort of the two topics today that Dr. Gorman is going to cover with us. So to introduce us to the stress awareness topic, we're going to listen to Billy Joel singing the song "Pressure." When we come back, Dr. Gorman.
You have to learn to pace yourself. Pressure, you're just like everybody else. Pressure, you've only had to run so far, so good. But you will come to a place where the only thing you feel are loaded guns in your face. You'll have to deal with pressure.
means.
Don't ask for help, you're all alone. Pressure, you'll have to answer to your own. Pressure, I'm sure you have some cosmic rationale. But here you are in the ninth, 2 men out and 3 men on nowhere to look but inside, where we all respond to pressure. All your life is Time magazine. I read it too. What does it mean? Pressure! I'm sure you have some cosmic rationale. But here you are with your faith and your Peter Pan advice. You have no scars on your face, and you cannot handle pressure.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every 4th Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:25. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. And this morning, joining us from our lovely home in West Springfield, are you in the Serenity Room, Dr. Gary Gorman?
Yes, I am. I'm sitting in the Serenity Room, and I have to say, Tina, every time I hear Harry Rock's voice, it just brings a smile to my face because he just absolutely cracks me up with his personality and what he did to pull off your 350th anniversary. He just is such a pretty cool guy. So he just had a little commercial on, and I just was smiling as I was listening to him to Rock on Westfield.
I know. Harry's a great... And you know what? It's so funny. On more than one occasion, we've commented, and Pete, you can jump in on this as well, but thank goodness our 350th was last
The
year.
mayor mentioned that yesterday on Kenny's show.
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine all that planning, all of those activities, all of those wonderful things that we did last year? It just would have been, I can't. So there's a silver lining. That happened last year.
We feel bad for Southwick because they've canceled a few already.
Yeah, they're
luckily their parade is until October, so they're going to be lucky.
It's their 250th, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
their 250th in Southwick.
So you know what? You look at it and go, the worst case scenario, it's your 251st.
That's correct. Yeah.
And it would have been our 351st. The Olympics are going to be 2021. So you know what? At the end of the day, life will go on as long as we continue to save lives by what we're trying to accomplish.
That's correct.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, thank you for putting that in perspective for us, Gary. So Dr. Gary Gorman is we like to consider him our WSKB resident chiropractor. So, Gary, you know what? I'm going to introduce this as April is Stress Awareness Month. So I'm just going to do a little intro here.
Okay.
But then I'm going to let you kind of take over with this one. So stress can be debilitating, and it can cause and or aggravate health problems. And since stress is a normal part of human existence, nobody's immune to it, it's important to arm ourselves with knowledge so that we recognize when stress rears its ugly head. Amazingly, we don't always notice that it's happening to us. Stress Awareness Month happens each April. It's important to learn some strategies for coping with this particular silent scourge, and you've come to the right place for that on WSKB. Stress can help sometimes. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, stress can motivate people to prepare or perform and might even be life-saving in some situations. It's sickening, literally. People under stress, especially those prone to chronic stress, are more susceptible to a variety of ailments from headaches and insomnia to high blood pressure and heart disease. Stressed? Here's why. A survey by the American Psychological Association found that 5 factors most often cited as a source of stress are money, work, family, economic outlook, and relationships. So in just a minute, I think we'll kind of get into how that's playing out in the world that we're living in right now. And why is Stress Awareness Month important? For a few things. One is it reminds us to pay attention to our health. According to the website, the official website, Stress Awareness Month is a national cooperative effort to inform people about the dangers of stress, successful coping strategies, and harmful misconceptions about stress that are prevalent in our society. It's going strong. Stress Awareness Month has been an ongoing campaign of awareness and education since 1992, so that's almost 30 years. And because we're all feeling it, a recent survey found that about 2/3 of U.S. workers report engaging in behavior such as drinking or crying regularly in order to deal with stress. And of course, we want to give you some better tools than crying or drinking heavily to deal with your stress. So, Gary, where would you like to start with this? I know it's a very broad topic, but I'm going to let you jump in.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that a little bit because I think really, in my own personal experience over many years, both dealing with patients and my own personal life, you can start off with a stress event, and you kind of feel that you work your way through that. Whatever it is, life throws these hurdles in front of you, and you have to get over top of them. And sometimes you fall, and you get up and keep going. I think what we need to be aware of is that multiple stress event after event after event can insidiously or covertly or quietly slip somebody into from a stressful situation to a depression/anxiety situation.
Okay.
And so I feel that at the very end, I think that was really, really important because one of the first things that you can alert you to the fact that this could be occurring are changes in your behavior. And sometimes this, I believe, it requires a family member, a loved one, a spouse, a friend to kind of go, what have you been doing lately?
Okay.
For example, every day at 4 o'clock you're having a cocktail. Mm-hmm. You never used to do that. What's going on here? Or the comfort food. Comfort food is described for a reason. Comfort food makes you feel comfortable. It may not be healthy for you, it may not be good for you, but you eat it or engage in the process because it makes you feel better. Mm-hmm. So those are some alerts. Now, first and foremost, which we could transcend into the staying fit with the chronic conditioning topic today, a couple things that I think are really, really important is daily exercise of some sort. Any psychologist will tell you, and I am not a psychologist, but I've had enough friends and been involved in with psychologists for many, 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 many years. And the first thing you want to do is something, anything, no matter what it is. And in right now with the coronavirus, our routines are totally thrown out of whack.
Yes,
the things
absolutely.
that we used to do day in, day out, week in, week out. So,
Gary, right from the get-go of what time you wake up in the morning.
Right.
When you don't have to go into the office, or you don't have to get up and go to school. So right from the get-go, your schedules are completely out of whack.
Totally. And what I told my athletes, we had a meeting right before they left school, and I told them to get this word out. You need to pretend you are going to school every day. You need to try to go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, get your homework done, or what you're doing virtually online. Then you could go for your exercises and go for your workout or do whatever you're going to do from that point forward. I said it is key because I've dealt with a lot of cases over the years of patients that were out of work as a result of workman's comp condition, injuries, et cetera, et cetera. And before you know it, you find out that they're up till 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning watching Netflix, and then they're sleeping until 9, 10, 11 o'clock. They're not exercising. Their diet goes out of whack. What you want to do is try to fabricate as best you can your prior routines. For example, I was going to the gym virtually every single day. I worked out 7 days a week for 7 or 8 weeks prior to my wellness center at my friend's gym in East Hampton closing. Every day. That I had to do that for my own health and well-being. Well, now I continue to do something physical every single day, whether I go for a walk, whether I power walk on my treadmill. If you don't have a treadmill, walking is great. You walk around down to the end of your street and back. You go out. You could do it 2 or 3 times in a day. Yesterday, Grace, our daughter Grace, and I went for a nice hour bike ride, just stroll ride. It wasn't a power ride. It was just get out, get moving, get going. So that, if you can recreate your prior routine, do so. If not, then what I suggest that you do is you start to create a new routine of some sort, because you have a lot of opportunity on your hands. You have plenty of time on your hands. I have found that now our premium is time, where it used to be at a what was it? It was a high. We didn't have any time.
Yeah, we didn't have it. Right,
I'm
exactly.
hoping for the word, which I can't remember.
Yep.
But anyway, create a new schedule or a new routine. The night before, you go, okay, give me a couple tasks that I want to do tomorrow, and whatever they will be. But you need to have an event. You need to have something to get up for tomorrow morning.
Well, I think that that's important in general. I mean, people need a reason to get up in the morning. I would also add, though, Gara, that I think that for a lot of us who work at this frantic pace and have probably been sleep deprived for, years, literally, I think that getting into a new routine and maybe adding a little bit more sleep on either end is fine. I think that's okay. Yep. I think the danger zone is, as you said before, if you're up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching Netflix and then sleeping until, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's probably not the best routine. But, if you were used to getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and now maybe you're, sleeping until 7 or 7:30, that's fine. That's reasonable. You get up, either you do some exercises first or have your breakfast and then, time your exercises. I know one of the things that you've said, Gary, and you might have mentioned it last week, is that for people who are working from home, if you're doing, working remotely, a computer and so forth, might be a good idea to, maybe get up, have breakfast, work for a couple hours at your desk, and then do some exercise so that you're not, because you've always talked about the fact that you don't want to be, even on your job, you don't want to be sitting at your desk for 8 hours in a row, because that's so not good for you.
No, exactly. And in today's day and age with health and wellness, we need to gain more sleep. And there's a correct and an incorrect way to do that, Tina, and you hit it right on the nose. The correct way to do that is you could add an hour of sleep on either end of your normal sleep cycle, which is the important thing. Our bodies are used to a sleep cycle where we go to bed. We don't have to set an alarm in the morning anymore. Right. I mean, children do, or young adults do, because they are in a different world. But for us, we don't have to set an alarm. Our bodies will wake us up every day. If we totally throw that out of whack, that is very distressful for you, and it will be poor quality sleep. But the one that really, as you said, the 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning Netflix and then sleeping into 11 or 12 will totally affect your whole physiology. Your eating schedule will be thrown out of whack. Your exercise schedule will be thrown out of whack. Your ability to see the sun and that whole sunshine and darkness thing will be thrown out of whack. So there's nothing good that can come out of it. If you want to steal an hour one way or another, stay up a little later and sleep in a little later, so be it, but don't do it on that end.
Right,
so
because that's just right. That's going to throw into that bucket of stress that we're trying to alleviate. It is 7:34. We're going to take a quick break now. It's 7:34. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. My guest this morning is Dr. Gary Gorman, our resident chiropractor. We're going to take a short break. We're going to listen to Mel Shacker on the bass for Question Mark and the Mysterians. We'll listen to 96 Tears, and we'll be right back.
Too many teardrops for one heart to be crying. Too many teardrops for one heart to carry on. You're way on top now since you left me. You're always laughing way down at me. But watch out now, I'm gonna get there. We'll be together for just a little while, and then I'm gonna put you way down here, and you'll start crying. 96 tears. Cry. Cry. And when the sun comes up, I'll be on top. You'll be right down there, looking up. And I might wave, come up here, but I don't see you waving now. I'm way down here, wondering how I'm gonna get you, but I know now I'll just cry, cry, I'll just cry. Too many teardrops for one heart to be crying. Too many teardrops for one heart to carry on. You're gonna cry 96 tears. You're gonna cry 96 tears. You're gonna cry, 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 cry now. You're gonna cry, 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 cry 96 tears. Come on, let me hear you cry now. 96 tears. I wanna hear you cry night and day, yeah, all night long. 96 tears. Cry, cry, cry. Come on, baby, let me hear you cry now. All night long. 96 tears. Yeah, come on now. 96 tears.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:38. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and Pete Coles is in the studio with me behind his protected glass back there. Hey, Pete.
In the bubble.
In the bubble. And on the phone with us is our resident WSKB, WCPC chiropractor, Dr. Gary Gorman with Trinity Health. Good morning again, Gary.
Good morning, Tina. And before I go on, I want to have a shout-out to Tina Gorman, and you will be embarrassed by this, but
I already am.
You and your whole group are absolutely doing an absolute phenomenal job at the Senior Center, and I was not paid for this. It is unsolicited, but you know what? I feel that I helped out over there for a couple of weeks along with Grace, and the smiles on the seniors' faces as they drive around to pick up their meals is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the nutrition component of it is super important for health and wellness, but I think the socialization piece is equally as important, and some people often would tell me this is the only time they are with people during the course of their day, and I feel the word social distancing is a poor term. It's a totally incorrect term, and it should be physical distancing, socially connected. And that is what we need to be doing. And I heard a psychiatrist on TV who was talking about stress and what you can do, and she used that exact term. It's physically distant, socially connected. And so Tina, I think you guys are doing a great job out there. I love going over there and volunteering whenever I can because it gets me out and about as well too. But I think, again, one of the many unsung heroes, along with the nurses and the doctors at the hospitals and the first responders and everybody else. So I think kudos to everybody.
Well, thank you for that. I have an interesting one of the sons of one of our seniors, Jack Curdy, came through, and he and his mom come to the senior center a lot when we're open. And Jack's been coming several times a week, and he gets lunches, he gets meals for he and his mom. And he said to me as he drove through, I think it was on Monday, and he said, "Tina, this is the way I look at it." He said, "I'm paying $6 for because it's 2 meals. So he said, I'm paying $6 to have human contact with people that I really enjoy spending 2 minutes with, and then I get 2 free meals in addition." But he goes, the $6 is really for the human contact. So
right,
I
exactly.
said, Jack, I said, I love your perspective. It just puts it in different perspective.
No, I
thank
agree.
you for saying that, Gary, and thank you obviously to you and Grace. I've done my shout outs on the radio to you before for helping us to create, because you were with us right from the very beginning, from day one, which was St. Patrick's Day, but you helped us to create that great traffic flow that we have going on. So thanks to both of you. And I know I've already recruited both of you to help us with brown bag. We need some extra bodies out there. So Gare, the topic of the day is stress awareness. April is Stress Awareness Month. We've talked about the importance of sleep in that, sort of reducing your stress. What else would you suggest for us?
Well, I think sleep is important. Healthy eating is important, and that's for a whole nother subject topic. Yeah. You want to stay with your normal routine. And today's, it's very difficult because with people out of work, with economic difficulties, they're going to go back to the how much can I get for how little do I have to pay? And sometimes you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So if you can stay away from the sweets, stay away from the food sources that are unhealthy for you, please do so as much as you can. But I think for today, exercise is the one that it falls into my wheelhouse and my expertise. And you texted me a few minutes ago and you brought up a subject, but I think it's really important that for those who are listening, a lot of you are living in not in your independent housing per se, but living in facilities where you have a lot of neighbors down the hall, whether it's apartments or assisted living or whatever the case may be. And I feel that you need to use your facility to your advantage with all the space that you have to walk with indoors when in climate control. But I also feel that while you're doing so, to use a face mask or put a scarf around your mouth to breathe, just because you may not know if you're going to be running into somebody halfway down the hall. You may not have the 6-foot physical distancing.
Yeah, right now, Gary, right now, at some of those assisted living and some of the apartment complexes, they're really discouraging people from going out of their apartments at all, other than to go outside if you want to, walk around the building. But they're really discouraging the hallway walking because
of that very reason.
Yeah, just because of that.
Okay,
It's some of those hallways are narrow. Yeah.
And even if you're going to go out, you take the stairs versus the elevator because that way you have more room and control. So you don't want to get stuck in an elevator with a person who may have
who may be a carrier,
symptomatic, etc.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. But exercise. Now, the 3 or 4 things that we need to be concerning ourselves that cause us to not exercise or sit too long is really 1.
Okay.
TV.
Yeah.
2, the computer.
Yeah.
3, reading. Now, all those can be good, they can be bad, and they could be our friend and they could be our foe. So we need to put restrictions and limitations on that time. So TV watchers, those who spend many, many hours watching TV, 1, at every commercial, please get up and walk around your living quarters, whatever that may be. It's really, really important. And while you're watching TV, you could be doing simple little exercises while you're sitting there. Our systems require movement to take the stress of our systems. For example, our heart depends on our legs to squirt the blood from the legs back up to the heart without putting extra strain on the heart. The heart is a pump, and it circulates our blood around our body. And it depends on our calf muscles and our thigh muscles to contract, meaning to squish the blood up to the heart. If we are sitting with our legs up, not walking, or sitting with the legs down, it puts extra stress on our heart to pump the blood around. So even if you're just walking in place or doing knee lifts while you're sitting or just moving your legs around or whatever, do that. Our digestion system also counts on movement to do that. So even if you're watching a TV show at the commercial, get up and move around. If you're on the computer a lot, you could get caught up in the World Wide Web for hours. So set an alarm in another room, whether it's in your bedroom, whether it's the electronic alarm on your oven or whatever it is, for 45 minutes. So after 45 minutes, it forces you to get up, go over there, and walk around. Same with reading. You know, Teen, you're a ferocious reader yourself. You know what it's like you get caught into a good novel, and 3 hours later, you're still reading away.
Right.
And so make sure that you're forced to get up and do something through an alarm of some sort.
Yeah, I think, Gary,
it's like crossword puzzles, or jigsaw puzzles, or anything where you're focusing to do something. You got to break it up and get up and move and groove a little bit.
Right. I think if you're watching regular television, commercials are sort of a natural break, and it seems like there are a zillion of them.
Right.
But that is kind of the natural time, which is why sometimes I don't want to run through the commercials because that's the time when I go to the bathroom or I go get a drink of water, or I just get up and stretch, or I go throw a load of laundry in the washing machine, or, move it from the washer to the dryer. So those are natural, but I think you're right, Gary. We can really get caught up with, especially when we're on our computers or, you're playing a computer game. I don't do that, but I know a lot of people who do. Or you're watching Netflix or HBO or something where they don't have commercials and you have to pause it. Or if you're, as you said, if you're reading a good book and all of a sudden 2 hours went by and you haven't moved, and you really, so I like that, set the alarm. And I would go one step farther, Gary. I would say set the alarm, and especially if, like, I have a little portable alarm, don't put it right next to you, because the problem is you'll shut it off and forget about it. You put it where you're going to have to get up in order to go shut the alarm off, and you're going to have to walk over to do that, because that's just your little gentle reminder. It's like, hey, you know what? I need to get up and move around and do some squats or do some thrusts or do some lunges, or there are all kinds of things that you can do within the confines of a room or a small apartment, or obviously if you have a big house, right? You can do stairs, go up and down the stairs, right?
Yep. No, I totally agree. And you know what? That's why I have my patients use the the clock on their microwave or their
Yes.
oven or something of that nature, because it forces them to get up to go into the kitchen. And that will also be a reminder for you to hydrate.
Oh, good point.
To drink water, because again, and myself included, I've taken some time off of work, and I have a 1,000 milliliter bottle that I would bring to work every day, and I would make sure that, for all practical purposes, it was empty when I leave.
Right.
But I have to carry it around with me because my routines are different. But we
Right.
need to continue to hydrate ourselves during the course of our day, even if we're not being active. Remember, when we pee, we have to replenish that. When we go to the bathroom and we urinate, we have to go to the bathroom. We have to replenish that water because our kidneys are getting rid of it. So we have to fill ourselves back up. And one of the keys is looking at the color of your urine. So if your urine is almost clear, good for you. That's great. That means you're watering it down. You're getting enough water. But if it is orange or brown or dark, that means you may very well be dehydrating and you don't really know it. So that's a good thing. So you get up, turn off the timer on your oven or your microwave, and then go ahead and drink a glass of water or fill your water up and bring it back to wherever you are.
And Gare, I just want to I want to pull this together, and then we're going to go for another short break. But I mean, all of this, the topic is stress and stress awareness. But believe it or not, all of these things that we're talking about, hydrating, getting enough sleep, getting enough exercise, eating right, that all comes back to keeping that stress level at something that's manageable for people.
Right.
I think that I'm not sure that people always understand the connection there. It's like, well, what does that have to do with stress? I'm stressed because my kids are driving me crazy or my job is driving me crazy. But there are a lot of things there are some things that you can't control everything that happens to you at the office, or you can't control everything that your children do or your parents do or your spouse does, and that adds to your stress. But there are lots of things that you can control. And if you are, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gara, but if you are, relatively healthy emotionally, psychologically, and physically, it arms you better to deal with the stressful things that you don't have control over. Yeah?
Exactly. And since again, I keep going back to, we are creatures of habit. We are creatures of routine. And let's face it, our routines have been disrupted rather significantly. So we need to create our own routine in order for us to minimize that stress. We don't have any control over of COVID-19, but what we have control over is our reaction to COVID-19 in our daily routine and our planning our daily routine each day. That's really the key. So we're just tweaking it along until we get the go-ahead to get back to our normal routines.
And what, interestingly, I talked before, today is National All Is Ours Day. And All Is Ours Day is really taking time to appreciate, nature and what's around you. It's all of ours. It's the sky and then the stars and the flowers and the birds and all of those kinds of things. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to listen to Louis Armstrong singing What a Wonderful World. But I think on this stress awareness topic, this is one way also to just kind of reduce that stress a little bit. Just take some time to appreciate what we have and what's out there in our relationships. So we'll be right back with Dr. Gorman.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:55. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and Pete Coles is in the studio with me behind his glass protection over there. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And our guest on the phone from our Serenity Room in West Springfield at our lovely home is Dr. Gary Gorman, our resident chiropractor here on the station. Good morning again, Gary.
Good morning, Tina. You know, it's we're running out of time. I want 2 hours next time. How's that sound?
Okay, that sounds good. You got it.
But you know what? I think a couple things we like to finish up with. You and I have spoken about doing some sort of. I could go over a bunch of exercises right now on the radio, but I really feel that I would prefer to demonstrate that.
Yes, and I'm going to talk to Pete about that when this show is over, about getting you in here so that we can do a segment on that, and that can be played on Channel 15.
We have a rug now in the studio, so.
Yes, we have a rug now in the studio, Gar.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So you know what? And we could bring some. We could bring props and everything else, but I think that's most important. I think today's was a segue into that, based on some just habit patterns, which I think is really important. Just the basic stuff that you didn't have to take notes on. But I want to share with you something that you talked about just briefly about walking. And I read a book. My cousin gave me a book. It's called Stopping by Dr. David Kundit. David Kundit is a psychotherapist, and the book is Stopping: How to Be Still When You Have to Keep Going. And this is for somebody who's the opposite of what we're dealing with now, where their life is so crazy that they're trying to slow it down a little bit to seize the moment, to have that what we call present time consciousness. And so there's an analogy in there that I've used more time than not. It's a music analogy. So those music aficionados, it's called the space between the notes. So I am going to challenge the listeners to do this when they go out for a walk. What this means is that in music, if there was no space between a note for a musician, it would be a siren. It would be one constant noise. And so in between each note, there is a space, and that's what makes music beautiful. In our world, the notes are our daily activities, our checkoff list that we do. I have 4 meetings today. I have to run over to town hall. I have to go to the post office. I have to go visit so-and-so. I have to go do this. I'm out in the You get the gist. The space would be the time that you have between those meetings, between those positions. Now, for us, when we go out for a walk, it's not the time for your brain to chatter about everything that you need to do when you get back to the house. Listen to the birds. Look at the flowers starting to come up. Listen to the wind rustling in the leaves as you're going on. Listen to the surrounding birds and the noises and things around you. That is breaking your brain chatter, which can be distressful to us when we have our brain going a million miles a minute. To take pause and to the space between the notes, the space that you have between your responsibilities that you have to achieve. I think
you know what?
Really
thank you
cool.
for bringing that up, Gary. I think that's really important. And one of the things that I've been doing is I've been walking more, and even on my running, I try to change my routes around. Even if I do the same route, but I like this weekend I did a run and I did the route that I normally do, so I know what my mileage was, but I did it backwards. And one of the reasons that I did that was just, for a change of pace. But what I've noticed as I've been walking and running, and I've been doing a lot more in neighborhoods now, is, I'm looking at people's homes and I'm looking at their yards and I'm looking at their landscaping. And so when I did it backwards, I was coming at the homes from the opposite angle. So it's like, oh, I never noticed what a lovely back porch they have.
Right.
You can't see it from that angle, but wow, and look at the way they set up their flower pots. That's really pretty. Maybe that's something we could do, and you just sort of have this whole different perspective. And I think, waving to people and, just kind of connecting with people that, you and I went for a walk and I said to you, oh, look, there's, a friend of ours that we haven't seen in a long time and her husband in their yard. And you said, oh, I never even knew they lived here. Well, that's part of your walking route. You go by there all the time. So it's really, and they happen to be out. So, we waved and we said hello and they were talking to another neighbor. But, it really has, I think, given everyone an opportunity. I think the one thing, Gary, that you said at the top of the hour that you were on was the one thing that we seem to have, not everybody, obviously not our first responders and our medical personnel, but a lot of us now have more time than we've ever had. I mean, it's so funny for me because twice a week now I have to be out of the senior center at a certain time because I've got my staff staggered. So I have someone coming in after me and I need to have everybody out of the building. Well, like today it's 5:00. Gary, you've been married to me for a long time. I've been director for many years at the senior center. 5:00, I'm just getting warmed up at 5:00 in the afternoon, but I don't have a choice.
And if your car is here at 5:00, I think you came home sick.
I know. The first time when I came home like at 4:15 last week, and Grace,
what are you doing?
Yeah, and Grace and Gary were like, "What are you doing here? This is like, are you okay?" And it was like, I had to be out of the building, because I have other staff that are going in.
Pete, I'm DVRing Jeopardy for Tina at 7:30 because she's not usually home at 7:30, so I have to.
That's right.
To watch Jeopardy,
that's really true. That's right. I love Jeopardy, and Gary. Yes, last night Gary's like, "I'm DVRing it. I know you weren't going to get home until late, but
take a breath."
But yeah, exactly. But you know what? We talk a lot in our house about the silver linings. We're always trying to find a silver lining. There's so much, anxiety around us right now, and there's tragedy, and we're losing people that we love. I mean, that is the reality of COVID-19. I mean, it's hitting all of us. It's certainly hitting us at the senior center. So if we can find some silver linings, and maybe it's that we all needed to find the space between the notes, Gare, just in general in our life to kind of pause, take a breath. And they keep telling us that at Mass Association of Councils on Aging, when we have our conference calls, the first thing Dave Stevens, our director, says is, okay, everybody take a breath. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Take a breath because you're not going to get through it if you don't breathe.
And, Tina, I think on finishing up, because I know our time is just about out. I'm sure Kenny's waiting in the wings. I think and there is a certain faction of our population that has way too much time on their hands as well too, and that could be equally as devastating.
Correct.
And so I think the prior hour, that the things that we just discussed, is to take those folks that have way too much time on their hands to start improving the quality of their time with these little exercise tips. Exercise and movement is crucial. And so I think our gems that we gave to them during the hour today is to make their time that they have more quality time.
And to stay, we've talked a lot about staying socially connected. Pick up your telephone.
Yes.
Call your nephew, call your niece, call a sister, a brother, an old friend maybe that you haven't talked to in a long time, or a friend that you just haven't seen in a month or so because of all this, having started. Write a thank you note to, whoever you want to write a thank you note to, somebody at the hospital, the staff at the fire department. And Pete, by the way, on the thank you video, which I'm going to have you run when we're finished here, I would like you to run that one more time as my closer. But I don't know
Actually,
if you...
I can't because I got a show at 8 o'clock.
Oh, you do?
there,
Okay. Pete, I don't know if you know this, but Pat Egloff, Chief Egloff from the fire department, said that he saw that, got it, and sent it out to everyone in his department as an email. And he said, incredibly powerful. So thank you. Dr. Gary Gorman, thank you so much for joining me again this morning.
You're
I will
welcome.
see you. I can only work until 5 today, so we'll reconnect in a decent hour.
I think we will be able to get a walk in because it shouldn't be raining.
I'm hoping, yeah. And it doesn't have to be a perfectly sunny day, by the way, to get outside and walk. Take your umbrella. We can do that.
And work something out with Pete, so we'll do our props and we'll get some sort of exercise thing going on.
Sounds good. All right. We're signing off. We will be back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.